Night listener, tonight we enter the shadows. The rain is soft, almost gentle at first, then harder, like footsteps sprinting across a room, retreating into the dark. Outside your window, the streetlights hum and flicker, their yellow halos melting into the wet concrete. In the distance, someone coughs, too close, too human. Inside, she's breathing fast, pen in hand, paper trembling beneath her grip. You're standing just behind her shoulder, watching ink bleed onto a confession that doesn't belong to her. Not the truth, not even close, but she writes it anyway, carefully, deliberately, as if her lies can hold back whatever is coming. She lied to save him. You told her not to. You warned her. But she smiled like she already knew it wouldn't matter, that the truth had a curfew, and someone had locked the door from the outside. If this story found you, maybe it's because you've been followed too. So, before we vanish into this mystery, like the video and subscribe only if you can handle the truth buried beneath the lies. Where are you listening from tonight? Drop your city in the comments and tell me. Are you drawn to the truth, the thrill, or the justice? Now, lock your doors, take a deep breath, and follow me into the dark. You watch her fold the confession once, twice, seal it in the envelope. She doesn't flinch when lightning cracks outside the motel window, but you do, because in that flicker of light, you see him, across the street, standing perfectly still, just watching, a silhouette in the downpour, trench coat soaked, collar turned up, not moving, not blinking. Then, the next flash of lightning, and he's gone. You rush to the door, fling it open, dash across the road. The asphalt reflects every beam of the neon vacancy sign like it's been waiting, but no footprints, no trail, just the low hum of the storm and the empty echo of your breath. He was here. You know it. You felt it. That pressure in your chest like a secret being kept too long. But she says, there was no one. It's just the rain. And when she lies, her voice gets quieter, like she's hoping you'll believe her, just enough not to ask again. You do. But the darkness knows better. Later, when she's asleep in the chair, arms curled around herself like a child, you check her bag. You shouldn't, but you do. And inside, beneath her worn notebook, beneath the aspirin and the hotel receipt, you find the photograph. Not a big one. Old, creased, torn along one edge. It shows him, arm around a woman, but not her. And the woman, the one he's smiling with, has the same scar just above her lip. The one they said the missing girl had. You knew, but pretended you didn't. You look closer. Someone circled the woman's face in red ink, faded, but still there. A symbol, a warning, maybe even a threat. You step into the bathroom, close the door gently, lock it. You hold the photo under the light bulb, humming above the mirror, and that's when you notice the second figure, in the background, blurry, barely visible, but standing in the shadows behind them, watching, waiting, not part of the memory, not part of the story they told, but in it, all the same. You hear a floorboard creak in the motel hallway. You turn off the light. Silence. You press your back to the wall. Listen. There it is again. A slow, deliberate knock. 3 taps. You freeze. No one should know you're here. No one but her and the man she's protecting. But he's not supposed to be close. He's not supposed to be watching from across the street. He's not supposed to knock like he owns the dark. Everyone lies, especially the quiet ones. You hold your breath, and then the sound of paper sliding under the door. You crouch, pick it up, a note in handwriting you've never seen before. She's lying. Check her wrists. You spin back into the room, but she's no longer in the chair. The door to the balcony is open, curtains billowing like whispers, rain still falling, and on the table, her bracelet, broken, snapped clean in half, one half missing. It was never about the truth, it was about control. The lie is only the beginning. The darkness has already started to speak. The photograph she hid. The wind howls against the motel walls like it's trying to say something. No, warn something. You stand in the doorway, rain licking your shoes, heart punching against your ribs. She's gone, and the only thing she left behind is a bracelet and the question clawing at your throat. Why would she lie for him? The photo is still in your pocket, heavy like guilt. You flick the light on again and look closer. That smile on his face, it's real. Warm, human, almost innocent. The kind of smile that makes people believe in happy endings. Except the woman he's smiling with disappeared 3 years ago, and the file said she never left town. You flatten the image against the counter. Under the warped edge of the print, something glints. It's a second photo, tucked behind the first. She must have tried to hide it. This one's different. Same background, same man, but this time there's another woman standing beside them, hair pulled back, face turned slightly. Unmistakably her. She was there, all along. Not a bystander, not a victim, a part of it. Your hands tremble as you flip the photo over, scrawled in jagged black ink. One of them knew, one of them lied, one of them never left. You press your forehead to the mirror. You can feel the night bending around you, reshaping what you thought was true. That's when you spot it, the reflection behind you, a figure just for a second, standing in the doorway. You spin, nothing, only silence, and the faint, metallic scent of fear. You knew, but pretended you didn't. You head to the front desk, soaked and shaking. Ask if they've seen her. The clerk just shrugs, doesn't even look up. Says the cameras haven't worked in months. Says you're not the first to come asking about people who don't check out properly. You return to the room. Everything feels colder now, tighter. You check her drawer. Notebooks, receipts, and a small red envelope tucked into the Bible in the nightstand. It's addressed to you. No name, just that single word. Inside another photograph, this one taken from a high angle, like a security cam. It shows her walking out of a door. The timestamp, 2 hours from now. You double check. No mistake. It hasn't happened yet. It was never about the truth. It was about control. Your mind reels. Who took this photo? Why timestamp it? Why give it to you? And then you notice there's a hand in the frame. A man's hand, barely visible, reaching out to grab her elbow. His wrist bears a black tattoo, a circle inside a square. The same symbol, scratched faintly into the corner of the bathroom mirror. You check the bathroom again, this time with your phone light. In the reflection, something new, a smudge in the shape of a fingerprint. Not yours, not hers. Someone else has been here. Someone who doesn't care if you know. You take a shaky breath, and for the first time tonight, it hits you. What if you've been the suspect all along? Your fingerprints are on the photos, on her bag, on the envelope. They're setting you up, or warning you, or both. You look at the note again, check her wrists. Why you replay every moment since she vanished. Her posture, her hands, how she rubbed her wrists nervously, kept them covered with sleeves even in the heat. She was hiding something. Maybe not just bruises, maybe a message, maybe handcuffs. You scroll through her phone, still charging on the desk. No passcode, not anymore. There's a draft message. Unsent. They're making me choose. I have to lie. If you find this, don't trust the cop. Which one you swallow hard as a knock taps once at the motel door. Not 3 times like before. Just once. You freeze. It's him. You know it. The man in the photo. The man in the rain. The man she's lying for. The lights flicker. The photograph slips from your hand and lands face up on the floor. And for the first time, you notice what was always there. In the background of every photo, a clock. The same exact clock, frozen at 11:46. Every single time, the past is repeating itself, or someone is making sure it looks that way. Everyone lies, especially the quiet ones. And the darkness, it remembers everything. Footsteps where they shouldn't be. You don't open the door. You wait, breathing shallow, muscles tight. Silence follows that single knock like a held breath. And just when you start to think maybe it was a mistake, maybe the storm creaked the building, or your nerves are playing ventriloquist, there it is, crunch, floorboard, inside the room, not behind the door, inside. You whirl around, nothing's moved. The desk chair is still turned slightly from when she got up. Her phone is still glowing softly, screen dimming, but you heard it, a footstep on warped wood, like someone shifting their weight, deciding whether to speak or stay silent. You step forward, slow, deliberate, eyes scanning every shadow. Then you look up, the attic panel, slightly ajar. You didn't notice it before. You've been in this motel for less than a day, but suddenly it feels like a place designed to be forgotten, built with crawl spaces and hollow walls, built for secrets. You drag a chair beneath it, climb, push gently. It gives. The smell hits first mildew, dust, something else, like copper, like metal, like blood. You lift your phone and shine its light. A small space, cramped, just enough room to crouch. There's a blanket, a used coffee cup, and something else that stops your breath. A pair of shoes, small, muddy, still damp, recently worn. You knew, but pretended you didn't. Your fingers tremble as you reach toward the edge of the attic floor. That's when you hear it again. Another step. But this time, it's not above you. It's coming from inside the walls, down the hall, left, then silence again. The air thickens. You climb down and check the hallway. Empty. Too quiet. The kind of quiet that doesn't happen naturally. The kind someone creates. You turn back toward the room and see it. A red string, stretched tight across the hallway baseboard, like a tripwire. You follow it. It leads to room 9. You're in room 6, but you remember now, room 9 there. It was taped off when you checked in. Plumbing, they said, but the lights are on behind the curtain. You approach, knock gently, no response. You try the handle, unlocked. You open the door an inch just enough to see the mess. The strings, red thread spider webbing the walls, photos pinned everywhere. You step inside, breath caught. One entire wall is covered in timeline notes, Polaroids, maps, and at the center, her face, labeled unconfirmed. Next to it, your face, labeled liability. Then you see a map of the motel. All the rooms are marked with names and times except room 6. Your room has only one word written across it, in thick black ink, trigger. The floorboards creak again behind you. You spin, but no one's there. Just the air, watching, listening. You reach for the desk in room 9. Papers everywhere, names scratched out. A photo of the man she was smiling with, pinned with a knife straight through his mouth. and beneath that, a key. Room 13. You've walked this hallway a dozen times, and there is no room 13. But when you step outside, something's changed. The hallway feels longer, the walls darker. You count again. Room 10, 11, 12, and then, where there was once a blank wall, now room 13. As if the building itself is reacting to your knowledge, you press the key into the lock. It clicks like a whisper being swallowed. Inside darkness, you flick your phone light back on. The first thing you see is the cracked mirror hanging crooked on the wall, and there written backward, in red marker, "She was never alone." You step closer. Your reflection moves with you, but slower, distorted, delayed. You raise your hand. It follows, a second later, as if something's watching from the other side. And then it blinks. Not you. The mirror blinks. Everyone lies, especially the quiet ones. You stumble back. Your foot hits something soft. You aim the light down. A glove. Black. Leather. Damp. Just one. Fingers curled in, like it's still holding something. And next to it, the photograph, the one you dropped earlier. But this copy is burned at the edges, and someone scratched out the woman's face. Only his smile remains, and beneath it, written faintly in the dust, "You're next." You back toward the door, but it's gone. There's no door, only the mirror, and the dark, waiting behind it. It was never about the truth. It was about control. The blood that wasn't there. You run your hand along the wall where the door should be. Nothing. Smooth wallpaper. Damp to the touch. Like it's sweating. Like it's alive. Your pulse drums behind your ears. Too loud to think. The mirror still hangs crooked on the opposite wall. But you avoid its gaze. You saw it blink. Not your reflection, it. And whatever blinked hasn't stopped watching. You turn back to the room. Focus. There has to be a way out. A vent, a crack, a weakness, and then you spot it. A seam in the wall, just beside the baseboard. Subtle, barely visible in the phone light. You kneel. It's a panel. You wedge your fingers underneath and pry gently. It creaks open. Inside a narrow crawl space, your phone's battery flashes red, 10%. You don't have time to hesitate. You crawl. The air smells like dust, mold, and something else. Faint, metallic, familiar, like a hospital. No, like blood. You press forward until the space widens just enough to stand. You emerge behind what looks like another wall panel and push through. You're in a bathroom. Not yours, not hers, but you know this room. You've seen it in the photos. The same green tiles, the chipped edge of the sink, the fluorescent light above the mirror flickering like it's remembering something it shouldn't. You reach for the faucet. It groans, spits rust, and then water. You let it run. That's when you notice it, the earring sitting in the drain, gold, tiny, a single pearl in the center, just like the one listed in the missing girl's report, the one that was never recovered. You pick it up, turn it in your fingers. You knew, but pretended you didn't. There's no blood, no stains, no obvious sign of violence, but something feels wrong. You pull back the shower curtain. Nothing. Then you glance down. A faint line across the tile. A perfect semicircle. Like something large and round was once placed there and then moved. A barrel. A bucket. You run your hand over the tile floor. Cold. Clean. Too clean. Like it's been scrubbed. Erased. Sanitized. You lean closer and shine your light across the grout lines. And that's when you see it. Tiny flecks, barely visible, not red, Not anymore. But they used to be. Bleach doesn't erase everything. Not really. You touch your fingers to the floor. Damp. Still damp. Someone cleaned this up recently, and they missed a spot. You stand too fast, heartbeat spiking. The door to the bathroom creaks open behind you. No footsteps. Just the sound of a door that wants to be heard. Everyone lies, especially the quiet ones. You flick off your light and hold your breath. A shadow moves past the doorframe, slow, unhurried, like they already know where you are. You wait until it's gone. Then you step out. This isn't room 13 anymore. It's not even the motel. It's a house. Old, sagging wood floors, faint scent of cinnamon and something else beneath it, like rot wrapped in perfume. A clock ticks somewhere. Loud, deliberate, not digital. You follow the sound to the living room, where a mantel clock ticks at exactly 11:46, frozen, just like the photos. It was never about the truth. It was about control. There's a coffee table in the center. A photo album lies open, its spine cracked. You flip through it. Every photo features her, as a child, as a teen. Then suddenly, you, standing beside her, smiling, in a photo you don't remember ever taking. You check the date scribbled on the corner, August 6th, the day the girl went missing. You stare at your face in the photo, the tilt of your head, the eyes, like you knew something, like you were keeping a secret even then. What did you forget? What did you help her cover? The album ends with a final photograph. It's black, no image, but the corner is burned, charred. Someone tried to destroy it. Someone failed. You lift it gently, and beneath it is a handwritten note. No one disappears. They're just misplaced. Your phone buzzes, 1% battery, a new message, unknown number, no contact name, just 4 words. You left her there. What if you've been the suspect all along? You stumble back. The room shifts, fades, and suddenly you're back in the motel room. Room 6. Same blanket, same nightstand, as if the house never happened. But the earring is still in your hand. The blood that wasn't there was. And now, so are you. You knew, but pretended you didn't. The man who was too calm. You sit on the edge of the motel bed, soaked in silence, clutching the pearl earring like it's a lifeline. It digs into your palm, tiny and cold. A perfect reminder that what just happened did happen. The timeline may be blurring, but the clues don't lie. People do. The walls hum faintly now, like they're breathing. You check your phone dead. The screen won't even flicker, just black, like the void is inching closer. There's a knock at the door, not the hesitant kind, not the warning kind, a patient knock. 3 precise raps. You reach for the drawer, empty. Of course, you're alone with no weapon, no plan, and a fistful of evidence that implicates everyone including you. You crack the door an inch. It's him, the man from the photos, the one with the half smile, the one who vanished into the rain, but now he's dry, immaculate, as if he's been somewhere warm this whole time. He smiles, not kindly. Mind if I come in? You say nothing, but you step aside, because something tells you you'd rather see his hands where you can than wonder where they are behind your back. He walks in like he owns the floorboards, like he's been here before. He probably has. He glances at the room, then the mirror. His reflection winks before he does. You've been busy, he says. Found the photos. You don't answer. He notices the earring in your hand. Careful with that. It's delicate, like memory. He picks up the motel phone and lifts it to his ear. I wouldn't, you say. He chuckles. Just checking the line. You never know who's listening. Everyone lies, especially the quiet ones. You finally speak. Where is she? His gaze darkens, just for a beat. Who you don't play. You know who. He shrugs. You're asking the wrong question. It's not where she is. It's when. He's playing games, twisting things. You should throw him out. You should scream. But something about him keeps you nailed to the floor. That calm, that terrible calm, like he's lived through this before. You knew, you say, about the missing girl, about the bracelet, about the blood in the tiles. He raises an eyebrow, amused. Blood is easy. It's always the first thing to clean. Guilt, though, that stains. You want to hit him, but you don't. He steps toward you. There's something no one tells you about lies, he murmurs. They don't unravel. They harden. Like bones, eventually. They become part of your skeleton. You clench your jaw. You're lying to protect her. His smile fades. I'm lying to protect you. The words slap the air between you. You blink. What? You think this is her mess? He says. No. She's just following your footsteps. You taught her how to bury truth. She just got better at it. You shake your head. No, that's not true. I would remember. He tilts his head. Would you? Then he reaches into his coat pocket, pulls out a small, leather-bound notebook, places it on the table. Your name is on the cover. You open it slowly. Every page is filled with your handwriting. Notes, observations, maps, photographs, details about the missing girl, surveillance logs, dates and times, her name, his face, your initials next to words like obstruction, false statement, tampered. You flip faster until you find a drawing, a house, the same one from the hallucination, or memory, or whatever it was. You stare at the page like it might burn. Tell me this isn't real, you whisper. He doesn't. Instead, he nods toward the mirror. Watch. You do. And there, in the glass, your reflection changes. Just slightly. A detail shifts. Your eyes, they're colder. The version of you in the mirror looks like someone who knew too much and didn't tell anyone. Someone who watched a crime unfold and found a way to rationalize it. It was never about the truth, he says softly. It was about control. You back away. But he follows. You can't fix this with guilt. He says, the only way forward is through. Through what? He leans in, whispers, through her memory. Then he lifts your dead phone from the table and hands it to you. It lights up, full battery. One message, room 14. She remembers now, but room 14 doesn't exist, does it? You knew, but pretended you didn't. You turned back to him, but he's gone. No sound, no door, no echo, just the mirror and your own reflection, now smiling without you. What if you've been the suspect all along? Her story changed overnight. You don't sleep, can't. Instead, you sit at the edge of the motel bed, staring at the phone that shouldn't work and the reflection that isn't yours. Room 14. She remembers now. The message stares back, too calm for what it means. There were only 12 rooms last time you counted. Then 13. Now there's a 14th. You grab the earring, the notebook with your handwriting, and step into the hallway. Heart rattling like a lock picked at midnight. The hallway stretches ahead, longer than you remember. Each door hums faintly behind its number, like the rooms are breathing secrets. You count room 10, then the blank door that used to be room 13. And beyond that, a door you've never seen before, room 14. No number on it, just a carved circle inside a square, same as the tattoo in the photograph. same as the mark that keeps reappearing in the background of your thoughts. You don't knock, you go in. The light is soft, golden, like candlelight from nowhere. She's sitting on the floor, cross-legged, rocking slowly. Her eyes are open, but they don't meet yours at first. Instead, she speaks like she's reciting something she practiced too long. They told me to say I wasn't there. Her voice is raspy, dry, like she hasn't used it in days. Who, you ask? Closing the door behind you. She doesn't answer that, just continues. They said he needed an alibi, that if I gave it, everything would go back to normal, that we could forget. You sit beside her, careful, like you're approaching something fragile or loaded. She glances at your hand. You found the earring. You nod. It was in the drain. A pause. Her voice lowers. It wasn't hers. You blink. What? She looks at you now. And her face, there's something different in it. Not just exhaustion. Recognition. The girl they're looking for. The one in the photo. It's not who they think. That was never her name. You feel your spine straighten. Then who? She didn't disappear. Her voice cracks. She switched places. You go still. What do you mean? Switched. Her hands tremble now, gripping the hem of her sleeve. I was supposed to leave. That was the plan. She was going to fake it. A vanishing act. I'd help. She'd get out. I'd take her place for a day. Then she'd come back. Your mouth is dry. But she didn't. She nods, eyes glossy. Something happened. She never came back. I waited. I wore her name, her clothes, long enough that everyone thought I was her. So I kept being her. Everyone lies, especially the quiet ones. You pace the room, trying to find a way through the logic, but it loops. It spirals. It echoes too closely to what you feel, the sensation that maybe you're not the version of yourself you remember being. You pull out the notebook. Then why is this written in my hand? Why am I tracking all of it like an outsider? She reaches for the notebook, flips to the middle. One page is blank except for a single sentence. Memory is a matter of agreement. You stare, and then her hand touches your wrist gently at first. Then, with urgency, you need to know, she whispers. The cop you trusted, the one you called after the girl, vanished. He's the one who set this in motion. You reel back. That's not possible. He helped search. He gave the press conference. He planted the earring. You freeze. No, he did it to shift suspicion. He knew there was no body, just doubt, and he needed something the press would understand. You knew, but pretended you didn't. And your mind flips backward through time. That first night, the strange delay before the search was called, the way he glanced at you when he asked about alibis. And now, you remember something else. The last time you saw him, you mentioned the name of the missing girl, and he corrected your pronunciation. But it wasn't the name you had said wrong. It was the wrong girl altogether. What if you've been the suspect all along? You stagger to your feet. She stays on the floor, still rocking. Where is he, you ask? Her voice barely audible now. Where he always is. You narrow your eyes. And where is that? She looks up at you. And this time, something clicks behind her eyes, like a locked door swinging open. In the mirror, your blood goes cold. You turn slowly. Room 14 has a mirror too, but it's not cracked. It's sealed, like a window, with something on the other side. You approach it. Your reflection stands still, waiting, but there's something behind it now. Someone closer than before. The man, calm, smiling, only this time, he's not looking at you. He's looking at her. You spin around. She's gone. The room is empty, and all that's left is the faint scent of bleach, the ticking of the unseen clock. and the single word carved freshly into the floorboards beneath your feet. Again, it was never about the truth. It was about control. The mirror that cracked at dawn. You don't sleep. The word again pulses beneath your feet like it's stitched into the floorboards. The mirror, once sealed like a tombstone, is now different, fracturing slowly. Tiny spiderweb cracks spreading from the corners as if whatever's inside is tired of waiting. Your reflection has stopped following your movements. It's watching you. And behind it, the man with the calm smile draws closer. His mouth doesn't move, but you hear it all the same. You already made your choice. You stumble back, but there's no place to retreat. Room 14 doesn't end, it just bends. The door you came through is no longer visible. The walls throb slightly, like breathing. The mirror begins to hum, a low vibration deep in your teeth. Then crack. A fracture slices down the middle, hairline, precise, and with it, a sound, not glass breaking, a voice, familiar, feminine. You left me there. The voice coils through the air, old and unfinished, like it belongs to someone whose story never made it to the last page. You reach out, your fingertips grazing the cold surface of the mirror, and the glass beneath your skin twitches. You yank your hand back. The mirror cracks again, another line, and another, until you're staring at a web of shattered images, fragments of your face, her face, his shadow, overlapping, switching places. There's a final pop, a center fracture, and the sound of something breathing behind the glass. You hear a clock strike once, then again. 11:46, the time that never changes. You clench your fists. Focus. You're here for answers, clarity, something to replace the noise. You pull the notebook from your pocket, flip back to the page with the drawing of the house. There's something new now. A handwritten note in the margin, in the same ink. The first time was the lie. The second time was the test. This time, you remember. You knew, but pretended you didn't. The mirror pulses one more time, and then it shatters, but no shards fall. Instead, it opens, a door, or maybe a memory. You step through. You're outside now. Dawn creeping in under a bruised sky. That gray-blue moment before light or dark decides who wins. You're on the edge of a clearing. Trees hush in the wind like they are holding back secrets. You know this place. Your feet remember it, even if your mind doesn't. A cabin stands a few feet ahead, abandoned. Windows covered in plastic. One side collapsed slightly, like it gave up trying to stay upright. This is where it started. You know it is. You push open the cabin door. The hinges don't creak, they groan, like they remember everything you did. Inside, dust, old rope, a single chair tipped over, and a wall covered in newspaper clippings, dates circled in red, her name, her photo, all of them crossed out. Every version of her name erased like a mistake. You find another mirror in the back room, small, oval, cracked across the center. You stare, and the face that stares back is hers, not yours, not the woman you knew, but the girl who disappeared, alive, speaking only through reflection, her eyes locked on yours, full of betrayal and knowledge. She mouths something. Don't believe him. You open your mouth to ask who, but the mirror shudders violently and goes dark. And behind you, footsteps. You spin. It's the man, calm as always, hands in his coat pockets, that slight tilt to his head, like he's listening to music only he can hear. You keep walking in circles. He says, "That's the nature of guilt." You raise your voice. "You said I could fix it." He steps closer. "No, I said you could remember it." He tosses something at your feet. A key. Rusty. Familiar? Room 6. You can start again, he says. But the story doesn't change. You pick it up, feel its weight. He steps back into the shadows, disappearing without sound. You're alone. Again. The only thing left in the room now is the notebook and one final entry, appearing as if written by invisible ink suddenly revealed by light. Control is just the illusion of forgetting. You walk out into the morning light, but the sun never rises. Everyone lies, especially the quiet ones. A second phone in his glove box. You walk back toward the motel, key in hand. The cold metal digging into your palm with each step. The sky never turns fully. Day it hovers in that uncertain gray, like the world itself is undecided. Even the birds refuse to sing. Back in the parking lot, his car is still there. Same black sedan, same perfectly parked position, like it's waiting for a getaway that never came. You check the lot. No movement. No people. No clerk at the front desk. No echo but your own. You approach the car. Something in your chest tightens with every step, like your body knows what's coming before your mind does. The car door is unlocked. Too easy, too quiet. You open it, sit in the driver's seat, and close the door. The air inside smells faintly of pine and burnt electronics, like something scorched a wire trying to hide its scent. You start searching. Nothing in the cup holders, nothing under the seat, but in the glove box something. A black phone, old, burner style. You power it on. No password, just a blinking notification. 1. New message. Room 6, midnight. Make sure they remember. You scroll through the history. There are only 5 contacts saved, labeled with symbols. Not names, triangle, square, X, asterisk, and one labeled with a single dot. You tap the dot. A thread opens. Photos, timestamps. You, in the motel hallway, in the parking lot, in room 13. One photo shows you holding the notebook. Another, staring at the mirror in room 14. You never saw anyone take them. But there they are, clear, framed like you're being catalogued, documented, controlled. You knew, but pretended you didn't. You flip the phone over and notice something etched into the plastic casing. Nothing disappears. It just becomes something else. Then a message flashes again. Same one. Room 6. Midnight. It's almost time. You take the phone and step out of the car. The key still clenched tight. You move toward the motel, heart like a tripwire, nerves fraying with every step. Inside, room 6 is dark, undisturbed. You close the door behind you and sit at the edge of the bed, the same bed where she sat, where the bracelet was left, where the note was pushed under the door. You glance at the clock, 11:42. 4 minutes. You place the burner phone on the table beside the earring and the notebook, a shrine to a lie that's folding in on itself. Everyone lies, especially the quiet ones. You close your eyes, try to remember something real. The first time you met her, the first time she lied, the first time you looked the other way, and then a sound, soft, behind you, like a throat clearing without lungs. You turn slowly. Someone stands in the corner of the room, but the light bends around them, like they're not fully there. You speak. Who are you? No answer. Just the sound of ticking. You check the clock again. 11:46. Of course, your chest tightens. You blink and they're gone. But something's changed. The mirror is cracked now. It wasn't before. A fresh fracture down the center, like the one in room 14, and in the reflection you see 2 people. You, seated on the bed, and her, standing just behind you. You turn, nothing. But when you look again, she's closer, smiling, but not happy. The burner phone vibrates. One new image. It's the mirror, the one you're staring into. But the photo shows a third person, him, standing between you both, his hands resting on your shoulders. In the message caption, you brought this on yourself. You throw the phone across the room. It hits the wall and shatters. The light flickers once, then twice, then dies. You sit in the dark. The only sound left is your breath and the faint echo of hers just behind it. What if you've been the suspect all along? It was never about the truth. It was about control. The alibi that almost works. You light a match. The motel room breathes in the sudden glow like it's gasping after drowning. Shadows leap along the peeling wallpaper, chasing each other across the cracks in the mirror. The burner phone lies in pieces on the floor. But that doesn't matter anymore. Not after the reflection. Not after seeing him behind you, smiling like someone who's already won. You pick up the notebook. It falls open to a page you never wrote, but in your handwriting. The only thing worse than being caught is remembering why you weren't. You slam it shut. Midnight has passed. No footsteps, no knocking, no scream. Just a silence that feels too quiet, like the world is holding its breath, waiting for a lie to finish aging into truth. But there's still something pulling at you. That name, the one you couldn't say aloud before. The detective, the man in uniform, the man she warned you not to trust. You remember now, or maybe you never really forgot. You leave the motel, get in your car, drive out of town with the key still in your pocket and the earring tucked behind your seat visor like a relic. You don't use the GPS. You don't need it. Your mind leads you there. The house, the one you visited when this all began, when the girl first vanished, when he said, "I've got this handled. Just say what we agreed." You knock. He opens the door like he's been expecting you. His shirt's half buttoned, tie draped over a chair, a beer sweating on the side table. You finally get tired of being the martyr, he asks with a chuckle. You don't answer. You just hold up the earring. He doesn't flinch, but something in his left eye twitches. You toss it onto his coffee table. It lands like a bullet. He stares at it, then smiles. She really played you, he mutters. Who, you ask? He looks up slowly. You tell me. You cross the room, drop the notebook beside the earring. These pages match my handwriting. Of course they do, he says. That was the point. He leans forward. You really don't remember, do you? You shake your head. He sighs. You came to me that night, rambling about how she disappeared, about the blood, the screams. You were shaking. You looked like you'd seen a ghost or made one. You swallow. He continues. You asked me for a favor, said you needed a version of events that wouldn't destroy you, so you made me an alibi. He nods. We both knew it wouldn't hold, but it was enough to confuse the timeline, buy you space, time, until someone else got blamed. You step back. Everything you've done, the investigation, the obsession, the clues, they weren't attempts to solve anything. They were the mind trying to climb out of its own lie. You weren't the detective. You were the missing piece. You covered for me. You whisper. He nods once, slowly, because you asked. Because you looked me in the eye and said, "She's gone," and I needed to stay that way. You knew, but pretended you didn't. You stagger back. But I didn't kill her. He sips from his beer. No, he says, but you stood there. While it happened, a rush of memory hits you like a train. The scream, The shattered glass, the flash of red in the hallway, her pleading eyes, and your voice. Don't. You're making it worse. Then silence, the sound of the door closing, and you walking away. You grip the edge of the counter, knuckles white. What if you've been the suspect all along? You turn to leave, but he stops you with a final sentence. She never died. You know, not that night. That came later. You freeze. He smiles faintly. She called out for you, right at the end, still hoping you'd come back. It was never about the truth. It was about control. You drive back to the motel. Room 6 feels different now. Colder, smaller. You open the notebook again. A new page has appeared. Only 3 words, scrawled in red ink. She remembers everything. The letter, she burned too late. You sit on the edge of the bed in room 6, notebook open on your lap, staring at the words. She remembers everything. The room feels colder now, like the walls are breathing out the secrets they've been swallowing. The mirror is silent, its spiderweb of cracks glinting in the dark. For once, your reflection is alone. You light another match. The flame flickers violently, bending sideways as if something unseen inhales beside you. The scent hits your nose suddenly. Ash, wax, and something bitter underneath. Not bleach, burned paper. You follow it. You check the trash bin, nothing. The bathroom, nothing. Then you drop to your knees beside the dresser, and there it is, a small metal tray, still warm, a wax seal, broken, and beneath it, gray dust and curled edges of something that used to be a letter. You can just make out one fragment of writing, not fully consumed. If they find this, it's because I ran out of time. You freeze. You lift the tray gently. One unburned corner of parchment clings to the edge. A single name in cursive, yours. Not her name, yours. She wrote it to you. You open the drawer beneath, heart kicking your ribs. At the bottom, tucked under the liner, another envelope, this one unburned. You hesitate, then open it. The ink is smudged in places, like she was crying while writing. You asked me to forget, to be the lie you needed. I tried, but I couldn't. You stood there. That night, you saw it. You let it happen. And after, you told me to be quiet. You said they'd never believe me anyway, that they'd think I made it up. So I said nothing. I lived in your silence. And now, I remember all of it. Your hands shake because the letter isn't dated, and the ink is still wet. You turn it over, and on the back, one final line: I never left the motel. Your gaze lifts slowly to the mirror again. The cracks have spread, and this time, your reflection doesn't move at all. It just stares, smiling, faintly, like it's waiting for you to figure it out. You knew, but pretended you didn't. You rise from the floor, clutching the letter, walk to the bathroom. Every step feels like a confession. You flick the light on, nothing, then flick it off again, and in the dark, a message glows faintly across the mirror's cracked face, phosphorescent, almost invisible. Until now, 13A. You whisper it aloud. 13. A subroom, an annex, or something deeper. You step into the hallway, the notebook under one arm, the letter in your pocket. Room 13 is still there, unchanged, the same strange absence of number, just that symbol burned into the wood. But this time, when you turn the handle, it doesn't resist. Inside, cold, still, and darker than dark. You flick on your phone flashlight. The room is empty except for a trapdoor in the center of the floor. Unmarked, you lift it. A staircase leads downward, swallowed by shadow, and along the wall, scrawled in white chalk, You told her to hide, and she listened. Everyone lies, especially the quiet ones. You descend slowly, the light ahead flickering not from your phone, but from somewhere deeper. A bare bulb swings at the end of a corridor. The walls are covered in drawings, photos, names, your name, her name, but the faces are all blurred, on purpose. You reach the final door, a worn metal thing with a dented center. You press your palm to it, and it opens on its own. Inside a room the size of a closet, one chair, and sitting in it a her, but not the her you remember. Older, eyes sunken, shoulders curled like she's been carrying silence for years. She looks up and smiles, not kindly, not cruelly, just sadly, like she knows you finally caught up to your own ghost. You told me to wait, she says. You nod slowly. I didn't know it would be this long. You did, she whispers. You just didn't care. You fall to your knees, hands open. No excuses left, just the truth, finally catching its breath. It was never about the truth. It was about control. The diary he claimed was fiction. She doesn't move from the chair, just stares, like a statue carved from memory and regret. The air in the room is thick dust, mildew, time. You breathe slowly, trying not to disturb the moment, afraid that if you blink, she'll vanish again. But she doesn't. She's real, and that might be the most terrifying part. You shouldn't be here, she says softly. You wrote to me. You reply. She nods. That was before I remembered why I stopped. Her fingers twitch in her lap. You glance down and see something resting just under her hand. A small black book, leather-bound, worn at the edges. You recognize it instantly. The diary, his, the one he insisted was fiction, a character study. He said, dark stuff, don't take it literally. But she kept it, and now it's in her lap. She slowly lifts it and holds it out. You take it. The moment your fingers brush the leather, something pulses behind your eyes. A flicker, a flash, of her face, smeared with blood and tears, of your own hands, red with something you never washed off properly. You open the diary. Inside page after page of nightmares, not stories, confessions. One entry stands out. She knows, not everything but enough. I told her we could fix it. She said nothing, just watched me bury it. I think she was waiting to see if I'd stop. I didn't. Another entry. Weeks later, he started to remember, not directly, but the guilt is showing up in strange ways, chasing shadows, inventing clues, projecting blame. If he ever really remembers, it'll destroy him. Your throat closes. The writing's familiar, because some of it, some phrases, some patterns you recognize from the notebook in room 6. Your notebook, or at least the one you thought was yours. You knew, but pretended you didn't. She gave it to me, she says suddenly. You look up. The diary. She nods. Said if I ever forgot, it would remind me, but I never forgot. I just stopped saying it out loud. You sit across from her on the floor, the diary in your lap. She wanted us to pay. You whisper. She wanted the story told. She replies, but not by him, and not by you. You flip to the final page, blank, except for one sentence scrawled in the middle. When the lie becomes memory, the truth must wear its skin. Your voice shakes. What does that mean? She leans forward. It means we've lived inside this lie for so long. We stopped recognizing it. Then she pulls something from her jacket, a folded photo, the original, not the cropped, burned, or redacted version. 3 people, him, her, and you. But your face is different, younger, open, guilty in a way you didn't yet know how to hide. I remember this day, she says. It was supposed to be a joke. She took the photo and said, "We'll frame this if anything goes wrong." Boy, you stare at your younger self and feel something break inside. Because it wasn't a joke, it was a warning. She's still here. You say. She nods, but not where you think. You glance at the mirror mounted on the wall behind her. Not cracked, just quiet. Then she says, "Read the last entry again." You flip back. The sentence is gone, replaced by new words, still wet. Room 1 holds the memory. Room 6 holds the lie. Room 9 holds the body. You look up, but she's no longer in the chair, just an empty seat, and the photo lying on the floor where she was. You pick it up. Now, only two people in the image, you and him. She's been erased, as if the moment you touch the truth, she let go. Everyone lies, especially the quiet ones. You step back into the corridor. The motel seems longer now, wider, endless. Room 1, Room 6, Room 9. You've been to all of them, but never in the right order, because the story hasn't been about discovering the truth. It's been about being ready to remember it. And now you are. It was never about the truth. It was about control. The basement with no light. You walk down the corridor that keeps stretching, keeps remembering. Every door you pass breathes a little heavier than the last. The wallpaper curls at the corners like it's trying to whisper what it's held onto. Room 1, Room 6, Room 9. 3 rooms, 3 truths. But only one of them holds the body. You reach Room 9 first. You hesitate. The number plate is scratched, deep, like someone tried to claw it off. The wood smells of rot and wet iron. You place your palm on the door. It's cold, not motel cold, earth cold. You knew, but pretended you didn't. You unlock it. Inside silence, not the empty kind, the loaded kind, like something's waiting to be named. The room is stripped bare. No bed, no furniture, only a metal hatch in the floor. You kneel beside it, heart kicking like it wants to escape your ribs. You unlatch it. The smell that hits you is ancient. Dirt, mildew, something sour, like grief that's been waiting too long. You shine your phone light down. Stairs, descending into nothing. No wires, no power. You step in. The hatch closes behind you on its own. The light dies after the 3rd step. You descend anyway, counting 1 step, then another, then another, 13 in all. When your foot hits dirt, the space opens around you. The air is thick with silence and something worse. Stillness. You can't see your hands, can't hear yourself breathe, but you feel it. Something is here. You fumble for your phone again. It's glowing, barely. The screen shows a message, not a text, not an alert, just white text across black background. Don't forget this time. You swing the light ahead. It hits a wall of tarped plastic. Behind it, a silhouette, small, curled in on itself. You move closer, pull the plastic aside, and there, in the fetal position, is her, not breathing, not moving, but her body preserved, perfect, as if she only just stopped being alive. You stagger back, your throat closes, the image burns behind your eyes, but then something flickers. The phone buzzes again. A second message appears. That's not her. You freeze, turn back. The face. It's hers, but wrong. Like someone recreated her. Like someone wanted you to find a body that answered all your questions. Too clean, too perfect. You look around, shine the light across the dirt walls. Scratches line the stone fingernail markings. Someone tried to get out. You lift the top again, slowly this time. Under her left sleeve, a small white card taped to her skin. You pull it off, written in ink. If you're reading this, they got to me first. I'm sorry I let them call it love. The body isn't cold because it's not real. It's staged, like the diary, like the photograph, like everything. Everyone lies, especially the quiet ones. And behind you, a sound, soft, dragging, like feet across dirt. You turn, the silhouette from the mirror, the man. He doesn't speak, just walks toward the body. He kneels beside it, brushes the hair gently from her face. Perfect work, he says. To you, your blood freezes. What do you mean? He smiles. You wrote this ending. We just followed the script. I didn't. You did? Don't you remember room 1? The light in your hand dims. Go there, he says. If you really want to see who wrote this story, you turn and run up the stairs. They take longer this time. When you reach the top, the door doesn't resist. You burst out into the hallway. Room 1 is waiting. You open it. And indeed, a desk, a mirror, a tape recorder, and on the wall, a photograph of you, smiling, holding a pen. Below it, a caption scrawled in red, author of the lie. What if you've been the suspect all along? You step to the tape recorder and press play. Your voice. We'll call it fiction. If I tell it right, maybe even I'll believe it. It was never about the truth. It was about control. The night the dog wouldn't stop barking. The recorder clicks off. Silence again. The kind that hums just under your skin, like your blood's listening. You sit at the desk, stare at the photograph pinned to the wall, your face frozen mid-lie. A smile that, now, you recognize for what it was, a mask, a flourish, the final period at the end of a sentence that should have never been written. Beneath the photo is a newspaper clipping, old, yellowed, the headline blurred from moisture or maybe just memory. Local girl still missing, dog, alerted, neighbors to strange noises. You remember that dog, the barking, relentless, high-pitched, piercing. It started just after midnight. You were there, not inside the house, not inside the crime scene, but close enough to hear. The dog barked for hours. No one answered. No one wanted to. You told yourself it was nothing. An animal reacting to thunder, to shadows, to ghosts only it could sense. But the truth, you knew, but pretended you didn't. You glance around the room. There's no window, no light source, just the desk, the photo, the recorder, and a single box on the floor. You kneel down, open it. Inside tape reels, dozens of them, all marked with names, dates, and your handwriting. One is labeled simply, that night. You thread it into the recorder, press play. It begins with the sound of a storm, and then her voice, crying, muffled. You can hear the scrape of something, metal on tile, and in the background the dog, barking, barking, barking. Then a man's voice, calm, familiar. You don't have to scream. No one's coming. Then silence, and a single whimper. He said he'd come back. He promised. Your voice answers. I never promised. The tape hisses, stops. You stare at the machine like it might change its mind. Rewind. Offer you a version where you were the hero, where you didn't walk away. But it doesn't. It just clicks. Done. Everyone lies, especially the quiet ones. You pick up the tape marked that night and flip it over. There's something etched into the back in tiny, neat letters. We all heard it, but only you ignored it. You close your eyes and the sound rushes back the barking. That hopeless animal trying to wake a neighborhood that didn't want to wake. That could have stopped everything. You open the drawer. There's a photo album, more like a collection. Each page holds two images, one of you, one of her, sometimes beside each other, sometimes worlds apart, but always paired, always reflecting something twisted. There's a page labeled 14 AM. You recognize it. The exact moment you stepped away from the door. You turn to the next page. Empty. A note is taped to the center. The story only ends when you stop writing it. You look around the room. Everything you need is here. Tape, paper, ink, a mirror. Of course, always a mirror. You stand. The reflection moves, but not like it used to. Not behind you, beside you. A second figure. Slight. Still. Female. She doesn't speak. Doesn't look. Just waits. You turn toward her, but there's no one there. Only you and the ghost you wrote into existence. You step closer to the mirror. Raise your hand. Your reflection does too. Then delays by a second, just long enough for the doubt to root again. You say her name. Whisper it. Once, twice, 3 times. The lights flicker. And then a voice, right behind you. You're still writing. It was never about the truth. It was about control. The woman in the security footage. You don't turn around. You know that voice. It's hers, but older, wiser, more certain than she ever was before. Still, you don't turn. Instead, you stare at the mirror. Your reflection doesn't smile this time. It just waits. You reach into the desk drawer, hand shaking, and pull out the last item buried beneath yellowing papers and an old motel notepad, a flash drive, labeled footage, 2:14 AM, lot cam. Your thumb runs over the label. You don't remember putting it there. But then again, you're starting to realize memory is less about what happened and more about what you allowed yourself to live with. You search the room for a laptop. There's one old beige humming faintly in the corner. No password, just a flickering login screen that dissolves the moment you plug the drive in. The video opens on its own. It's grainy, poorly lit, but the timestamp is clear, 02:14:08 AM. You lean closer. The motel parking lot is empty at first. Then a woman enters the frame, fast, panicked. She's looking behind her. She holds something tight to her chest. A bag, maybe, a file. Her hands are shaking. You pause the frame, zoom in. The bracelet, the one from the chair. You unpause. She stops beneath the camera, looks straight up, directly into the lens. Her eyes are wide, afraid. She mouths something. Frame by frame, you play it again, and you read it. Don't trust him. Then, in the corner of the footage, you, emerging from room 6, calm, too calm. You don't run to her. You don't even look surprised. You gesture back toward the room, and she hesitates, takes a single step toward you, and that's where the footage jumps. Suddenly, she's gone. You're alone in the frame again. You rewind. Same jump, same cut. A deliberate gap in the timeline. Someone didn't want the in-between preserved. You slam the laptop shut, your heartbeat hammering. That footage was edited by someone with access, with motive. And the worst part, it was you who handed it over in the first place. You vaguely remember that night, turning in the USB, saying it was everything, saying it proved your innocence. You never watched it. Not until now. You knew, but pretended you didn't. The mirror behind you groans, a long, drawn-out creak. like something tired of waiting. You turn slowly. Your reflection is back, but different. It's her, standing in your place, wearing your clothes, hands at her sides, staring through the glass with your eyes. Her mouth moves. The story you told was never mine. You step closer. The mirror fogs. A heartbeat pulses behind it. Then her voice through the glass. I tried to leave, but you kept rewriting me, and suddenly, it's not a mirror anymore. It's a screen, playing the footage again. Except this time, you're the one running. She's the one standing still. The scene warps, blurs. Your eyes sting. Something about reality shifts. Like you're watching your own reflection become someone else's guilt. You pound your fist against the glass. Cracks spread. Your reflection distorts again, fractures into half-truths and denials. Behind you, the laptop reboots. On the screen, a document titled Final Statement Unsigned. You click it open. Only 2 lines. I saw what happened, and I said nothing. The cursor blinks, waiting for your name, waiting for you to finish what you started. You sit down, hands hovering over the keys. The door to room 6 creaks open slowly behind you. But you don't turn this time. You don't run. You just sit in front of the blank space and let the silence breathe all around you. Because maybe, just maybe, it was never about running away from the truth. Maybe it was about owning the lie. Everyone lies, especially the quiet ones. And tonight, the motel finally listens. The silence at the police station. You sign your name, not because you're ready, but because the lie is heavier than the truth ever was, and you're tired of dragging its body behind you. The statement flashes, saved on the screen. You close the laptop. The quiet in room 6, louder than any scream. No movement, no wind. Even the mirror has stopped watching, like it's had its fill of reflection. You step outside. The motel is still, not abandoned, not alive, just paused. Like a crime scene where time gave up trying to make sense of motive. You drive to the police station before your courage fades. It's nearly dawn, but the sky hasn't changed. Still dark, still bruised, like the sun's ashamed to rise on what it knows is coming. Inside, the station hums with fluorescent lights and the low murmur of coffee machines and half-slept cops. You walk to the front desk. The clerk doesn't look up. Name, he asks. You hesitate, then give it. The real one, not the version attached to press conferences and whispered rumors, not the one you've been pretending to protect. He types slowly, then stops. Someone already filed under that name. You blink. Filed what? A statement. 2 nights ago. That's not possible. He shrugs. Clocked at 2:14 a.m. Came in with evidence. Tape. Diary. Photographs. Your mouth goes dry. He slides a manila folder across the desk. You open it. Everything's there. The earring. A copy of the burned letter. Photos of the basement. Transcripts from the diary entries. Even stills from the footage, all signed, all tagged with your name. But I never came in, you whisper. He nods once, solemn. That's what you said last time too. You look at him, really look. He's familiar. Not in the way strangers are when you're tired. Familiar in the way old mistakes are, in the way buried accomplices are. You swallow hard. Do you remember me? He looks up and smiles. Everyone here does. You knew, but pretended you didn't. The chief calls your name from across the bullpen. You walk in, manila folder under your arm like a confession finally dressed in paper. The room is sparse, walls bare except for one cork board. On it, the case, her face, missing posters, statements, maps, threads connecting names, and at the center, your photo, circled, with a note underneath, key witness, unreliable memory. The chief doesn't speak, just nods toward a chair. You sit. I want to tell you everything. You say. He raises a brow. We already have it. No, you insist. Not the truth. The real version. He leans back, waits. You take a breath, ready to speak. But then the phone rings on his desk. He answers, listens, nods, then hangs up slowly, looks back at you. That was dispatch. He says, you tense. And they said you were found. 2 hours ago. You frown. Found where? Room 9. In the crawl space. Cold. No pulse. You stop breathing. I'm here. You say. He doesn't reply. Just looks past you. And for the first time you see it. Your reflection in the one-way mirror. Faded. Not real. And beside you an empty chair. You reach for the folder. It's gone. You look at your hands. They're not shaking anymore. They're not anything anymore. Just memory. A trace. A draft that was overwritten. And suddenly, the silence in the police station makes sense. It's not the silence of paperwork. It's the silence of a truth too late to matter. What if you've been a suspect all along? Your voice breaks the quiet. I didn't mean to forget her, but no one hears it. Because the version of you that's speaking isn't there anymore. It was never about the truth. It was about control. The text you didn't send. The station dissolves, not all at once. Like fog retreating from a field, it leaves behind shapes you thought were solid, but now they flicker, translucent. Wrong. You're not in the police station anymore. You're in a motel room again, room 6. But now, it's different. Not the same version. This one is cleaner, untouched, as if it's waiting for you to arrive for the first time. The light is on. The desk is empty. The bed is made. Your phone, dead for hours, now rests on the pillow, glowing. 1. Unsent message. You approach slowly, as if the wrong movement might shatter whatever time-looped purgatory you've fallen into. You pick it up. The screen unlocks without a touch, and the draft reads, I'm sorry. I saw him do it. I just didn't know what to do. You stare at the blinking cursor. The timestamp says it was written 6 minutes before she disappeared. You don't remember typing it, but it's your phrasing, your guilt. You hit send. Nothing happens. No network, no sound, just the message, suspended in amber, glowing like a confession that never had a witness. You look up and she's there, standing by the door. Not a ghost, not the same version from the mirror. This one is breathing, solid, tired. She looks older, or maybe it's just that now you see her clearly. Her arms are crossed, not angry, not broken, just waiting. You open your mouth, no words come. She nods. You were never going to tell them. Were you? She asks. You finally find your voice. I didn't know what to say. Say nothing, she replies. It's what you're best at. You want to protest. But she's right. You were there. You watched. You let the story change in front of you and called it memory. She steps closer, and in her hand, your notebook, the same one that's changed a dozen times. Now, it's missing pages. She holds it out to you. You wrote everything except the truth. You flip it open. Every page is blank, except one. It reads, Control isn't about rewriting the story. It's about making sure no one else can. You close the book. I want to remember. You say. She raises an eyebrow. Now you do. And just like that, she's gone again. You blink. Back in the hallway. Your phone buzzes once more. New message. Unknown number. Check the mirror in room 11. You follow the corridor. Room 11 is at the far end, a door you've never opened before. It hums with tension, like it's never been opened. You try the handle, unlocked. Inside dark, empty, no furniture, no light, except for the mirror. It's taller than the others, framed in wood, scorched along the edges, as if someone tried to burn the truth but left it standing. You step in front of it. Your reflection stares back, but it's not you, not anymore. This version is wearing the uniform, the badge, the same one the detective wore, the one who twisted the narrative to protect you, to protect himself. Your reflection raises its hand. You don't move. Still, it waves, mocking. Then it smiles, and its mouth moves. There's still one room left. The mirror cracks. You blink, and now there's a new key in your hand. Cold, rusted, number etched faintly on the metal 0 room 0, a room that never existed, because it was the one you buried. Everyone lies, especially the quiet ones. The hall stretches behind you, twisting. You walk toward the beginning, toward the ending you never wrote, the one waiting in the dark. It was never about the truth. It was about control. The glove in his coat pocket. The hallway feels endless now, like the motel has collapsed into itself, and all that's left is memory, fragments, loops, hall numbers out of order, doors where they shouldn't be. Room 0 flickers at the far end of the corridor like a mirage barely tethered to reality. You clutch the key, tight. Room 0. You never saw it, never stayed in it, but somehow it's always been yours. As you walk, you pass the old familiar doors. Room 6 creaks slightly as you near it. Room 9 whispers your name like a question it no longer expects answered. Then you pass his door. Room 7. It shouldn't be here, but it is. You stop. The knob is loose. The door cracked just enough to invite guilt back inside. You push it open. Inside empty, mostly. His coat still hangs on the chair, like he never left, like he never had to run. You approach it slowly, carefully. Part of you hoping the pocket's empty, part of you praying it's not. You reach in, fingers close around something soft. You pull it out. A glove, leather, black, dried blood, stiff in the seams. But it's not the blood that makes you freeze. It's what's inside. A crumpled photograph. Unfolding it is like opening your own grave. It's the three of you again. Him, her, and you. But this version is different. You're not smiling. You're watching. And the date. The night she disappeared. There's writing on the back. You recognize the scrawl. His handwriting. Keep this, just in case he forgets again. You sit down slowly, the glove still in your lap. This wasn't an accident. This wasn't panic. This was engineered. The diary, the missing time, the reflections, the rewritten alibis. You weren't covering up a mistake. You were following a design. His, you knew, but pretended you didn't. You remember now something he said that night. Right before she ran. We don't need her to disappear. Just her version of the truth. You'd nodded. You didn't ask what he meant. Now you know. You walk back into the hallway. Room 0 glows like a wound at the end of the corridor. Waiting. The key slides in like it's been waiting all along. The door opens without resistance. Inside, it's not a room. It's a gallery. Every wall covered in photographs, news clippings, voice memos playing on a loop. And at the center of it all, though, your name, your handwriting, your script. It's all you. You want to deny it. Want to say this was built by him, but you feel it. This place is familiar because you wrote it. Piece by piece, lie by lie, story by story. There's a recorder on the table, already playing. You asked me to write it down. Your voice says, all of it. So I'd remember. So I'd know why I let her go. But memory is a kind editor. It trims the horror, sands off the cruelty, leaves only the version we can survive. The tape clicks off. There's only one page left in the notebook now. You open it. It reads, "You didn't just lie to protect him. You lied because it was easier than admitting who you really were." And beneath it, handwritten, fresh. She knew. She always knew. That's why she ran. Everyone lies, especially the quiet ones. You look around the room. Every photo has one thing in common. You're never touching her. Not once. Not holding her hand. Not standing beside her. Not offering comfort. You were always watching, always recording, always collecting, and never protecting. You put the glove back in your pocket. It's yours now. Maybe it always was. You step out of room 0 and find yourself back at the beginning. Room 6. Mirror intact. Phone on the bed. Notebook closed. As if none of it happened. But this time, when you look into the glass, you're alone, and no part of you is smiling. It was never about the truth. It was about control. The mistake she couldn't undo. You sit on the edge of the bed in room 6 again, but it doesn't feel like deja vu. It feels like a crime scene. Everything is in its place, too perfectly in place. The phone, screen glowing faintly. The mirror, pristine again, almost defiant in its silence. The notebook, resting on the desk, untouched, waiting. You pick it up. One page. A final entry written in her handwriting this time. Not yours. Slanted. Precise. Sharp as a goodbye. I believed you. That was the mistake. Not the silence. Not the night in room 6. Not even running. The mistake was thinking you'd fix it. You run your fingers across the ink. It smudges slightly. Recent. Fresh. You glance toward the mirror. And this time, it shows both of you. She's standing behind you again. Arms folded. Eyes not angry, just tired. Like she's had this conversation in her head 1,000 times. And you always say the wrong thing. You try to speak, but your reflection doesn't move. She does. She steps forward, closer in the glass, until the only thing you can see is her face and that sadness in her eyes. You asked me to lie, but you never told me how to carry it. You whisper, "I didn't know what it would do to you." She tilts her head. You never asked. The lights flicker. The mirror cracks. One fine line from top to bottom, then another. Her image shatters, splinters into fragments, and disappears. You're alone again. You place the notebook down and see it, the burned corner of the letter you never read in full, the one she tried to destroy. You unfold what remains. It reads, "You were supposed to be the one person who wouldn't leave me with the blame, but instead, you gave me your silence and called it love." Your chest tightens. You remember her face the night she ran. Not desperate, not afraid, resolved. She had already accepted she'd be the villain in your story, because that's what you needed her to be. Someone to blame, someone to bury. You knew, but pretended you didn't. The hallway outside the room groans again, a sound like old floorboards or old lies stretching under the weight of remembering. You walk out, clutching the remains of the letter. You don't go toward room 0. You go to room 4, the one where she stayed, the one no one ever searched properly. Inside, dusty air, undisturbed, still, but on the floor, half beneath the bed, You find the tape, labeled in her handwriting, not a confession. You place it into the small cassette player on the dresser. Press play. Her voice, clear, strong, scarred. You'll try to tell the story like it just happened to you. You'll pretend you were swept into it, that you didn't pick this ending, but I know better. I know you watched. I know you waited. And I know you're still hoping someone else will take the fall. I'm not coming back to save you. I'm not going to untell your lie. I just want the silence to stop echoing. The tape clicks, then rewinds itself. But you don't press play again. You stand, look in the mirror above the dresser, and for once it reflects you honestly. No shadows, no double, just you, the coward, the watcher, the man who mistook silence for safety. Everyone lies, especially the quiet ones. Back in room 6, the phone buzzes. One final message from her number. The mistake was thinking you'd speak, but you're only ever loud when you're writing someone else's ending. The screen fades to black. It was never about the truth. It was about control. The night he confessed without saying it. You stay seated in the dark. Room 6 doesn't press anymore. It just waits, like the walls are watching, not judging, because they already know how this ends. They've heard it before. The phone screen has dimmed. The final message is gone, but the words remain. You're only ever loud when you're writing someone else's ending. You don't touch the phone again. Instead, you pick up the notebook, not because it has anything new to tell you, but because, finally, you understand. It wasn't a record. It was a weapon. Each word, each omission, each false clue inked carefully, with intention. You weren't just writing around the truth. You were writing over it, and somewhere along the way, you forgot the difference. You glanced toward the mirror. Your reflection no longer startles you. It just stares back, tired, hollow-eyed, less like a suspect and more like a result. And then the knock, not hard, not rushed, just certain. You rise, open the door, and he's there, the man who started it, the one you said you lied for. Same jacket, same calm, same hands, buried in his pockets, like they've never once shaken. He steps in without asking, looks around like this is his room, not yours. He nods toward the chair in the corner. Sit, you don't move? You owe me the truth, you say. He smiles. No, you owe yourself the truth. I just came to see if you could finally say it. You sit because you're too tired to stand. And because the weight in your chest says this is the moment you've been orbiting all along. He looks at you, waits, then begins. You knew what I was going to do, he says. That night, when I followed her out back, you stood at the window. You watched. You say nothing. I never said it aloud. Never needed to. We had an understanding. You close your eyes. No, you made sure I couldn't understand. You made sure I needed to believe you. He chuckles. You didn't need to believe me. You just needed to not be blamed. You open your mouth to argue. But stop, because he's right. Because when she screamed, when she stumbled back through that door, eyes wide, blood on her sleeve, you didn't go to her. You turned away. You picked up a pen. You started writing the story, the one where she had reasons, where he had witnesses, where you had nothing to confess because you were never involved. You told the cops it was chaos, he says, but we both know it wasn't. You whisper, you didn't stop. He shrugs. She wouldn't shut up. The words slice because they sound like a reason, because they sound like the kind of reason you would have accepted back then. You stand. He's dead now. You say, The version of me that let you get away with it. He leans back, hands folded. No, he's not. You point toward the desk, the tapes, the letters, the notebook. You think I'm hiding still? He nods. You're still here, aren't you? You go still, because again, he's right. You haven't turned yourself in. You haven't published the truth. You haven't handed over the only recording that matters. You're still editing the ending. He stands now, straightens his jacket. I told you I'd never say it. That was the deal. You write your story. I disappear. Everyone wins. You whisper, she didn't. He tilts his head. No, she didn't. He walks to the door, pauses, turns back to you. Here's the thing, he says. You can say I manipulated you. You can say you were scared. But the truth, he smiles gentle, final. You watched, and you didn't stop me. And in the end, that's all anyone will remember. Then he walks out. No threats, no fear, just the quiet confidence of a man who knows what you'll do. Nothing. Everyone lies, especially the quiet ones. You sit there for a long time, long enough for the mirror to fade, long enough for the phone to die again. And when you finally stand, you reach for the recorder, slide in the last tape. You press record, and this time, you say everything. It was never about the truth. It was about control. The truth, buried beneath her lies. You press record, and the silence in the room sharpens, like it's listening now, like it's been waiting for this moment longer than you've even known to dread it. You breathe in. The recorder clicks faintly under your fingers. Then you begin. Your voice is steady, not defiant, not broken, just finished. Her name was Claire, not the name the media used, not the alias in the reports. Claire. She was 24. She liked coffee with too much sugar and said scary movies bored her. She was loud when she laughed, but quiet when she was scared. And that night, she was very quiet. I was in room 6 when it happened. I saw him take her into the back lot. I watched through the curtain, and I told myself, maybe he's just scaring her. Maybe she deserves it. Maybe it'll stop. It didn't stop. I saw the shove. I saw her hit her head on the concrete step. I saw her stop moving. I opened the door. I stood there, and I closed it again. You stop. Only for a second. The mirror doesn't crack. The walls don't shake. But something inside does. A shift, a fracture. The truth finally breaking the glass around it. You continue. He told me it was an accident, that he panicked, that I could help fix it if I just helped him forget. I didn't bury the body, but I buried the memory. And then I started writing, a version where I wasn't there, where I didn't see, where she never even existed. But she did. Claire did. And I want this on record. Not because I want forgiveness, because she deserves to be remembered for more than what we turned her into. You hit stop. Click. The recorder falls silent. You sit back. There's no thunder, no echo of judgment, just a room filled with a truth that's finally had its say. You glance at the mirror, and now her reflection is back. But she isn't watching. She's smiling, soft, peaceful, not for you, but maybe, just maybe, for herself. You stand, open the door to room 6, and step out. You don't pack anything. You don't check the desk. You leave the tape recorder right where it is, because that's where it needs to stay. Someone will find it. Someone will listen. Someone should. You walk past the front desk. No one's there. Just the buzz of broken fluorescent lights and the faint hum of guilt evaporating from the carpet. Outside, the sky is finally shifting. gray to blue, like the motel has exhaled, like Claire has, too. You walk until the building disappears behind you, until the road stretches forward and doesn't ask where you've been, just where you'll go. And for the first time, you don't carry the lie. You leave it in the walls, where it belongs. Final wind down, psychological cool down. The air outside is cooler now, slower. You feel it settle into your lungs, into your bones, like something easing its grip. Not freedom, but the beginning of it. There's still no real justice, no jury, no redemption, but there is truth, and sometimes that's enough. Sometimes telling the story honestly, even this late, is the only thing left between you and the dark. She's not coming back, but you won't keep her buried anymore. Let the world know her name. Let the silence end, because silence is how monsters hide. And truth, no matter how late, shines through the cracks. You walk a little farther, lighter, quieter, but never silent again. End of script. Sleep well and watch your back.